Hi, everybody. This is Larry Tun hosting Collectors Conversation again. So yesterday, Bill had a great show with OAX. About OAX with Adam, Allison, Amanda, and Jimmy. And this time, we are going to do a deep dive into OAX. By the way, if you didn't hear yesterday, next year's OAX is January 24th to 26th, 2025. But let me bring on my panelists. First, I have Jeff Dunn. You may have seen him on 4C. You may have seen him on some other shows, CAF as well too. But he is obviously in a lot of shows related to comic art.
A lot of shows.
Next, we have Wolvie Fan, and we talk about a lot.
What's up, guys?
Wolvie Fan, he whores himself out to everywhere. You've been on what? On Connectable. You've been on what other shows you've been on besides CAF?
These guys know good quality, so they reach out to me. What do you want me to tell you?
All right. So next, we have a returning guest. His name is Alberto. And so for this panel, we got two exhibitors and we got two attendees who are me and as well as Alberto. So guys, welcome back on the show. And it's been about 2 weeks since OAX, so we've had time to recover. Alberto's still recovering from the Super Bowl, but
we don't talk about football on this show.
All right. So for today's show, we're going to do a deep dive into OAX, and I got different criteria to go over, and I'm going to bring this up real quick. So how this works? So this is going to use Slido. So if you all want to vote, use Slido. This is going to be interactive. So everybody here is going to get a chance to vote. So we're going to talk about these 7 different criteria for this convention: location, star power, show floor experience, available art, OEX special events, post-show activity, and attendee value. Everybody here will get a vote, but please, if you did not attend the con, don't vote. Sorry, Marcus. We really wanted you there, but you just didn't go. But but your spirit was there. But I don't know if you can actually rate some of these. So all right, so we're going to go to the first topic, and we're going to talk about location. So this is sunny Orlando. Me and Jeff, we come from the Maryland, D.C., Virginia area where it was freezing, and it was a nice relief coming down to Orlando where it was nice and sunny. I went from freezing and got off the plane, and I didn't know how to deal with the humidity. like it wasn't even that, the humidity wasn't even that bad. It was just a slight humidity. It's like, I haven't felt humidity in like 5 months. It was strange. So Jeff, what do you think about the location of this convention?
No, I mean, I thought it was great. I mean, like I said, I didn't know when we were talking about location, if you meant like the location of the actual physical con, like the hotel that it was at,
or the whole thing, like, the whole vacation, everything.
So, well, like I said, I really enjoyed. I mean, I always enjoy going to Florida. It's also because my partner Ken Carson lives down there, so any excuse to go to Orlando and get together with him, it's always wonderful. But this was great because it was pretty cold up here. We got down there. Bill somehow magically picked the best 2 days ever to have in Florida, because I'm pretty sure the day before it was cold in Florida, and then he got the 280-degree days to be on Friday and Saturday. It worked out great. Got a little rainy on Sunday, but that was fine. That was the last day of the show, and everybody was heading back after that anyways. So listen, I wore a hoodie all day on Sunday, and they called me crazy until they all tried to walk out of the con. It was 60 degrees, which is pretty cold for Florida. They were all shivering. I was like, yeah, they all called me crazy for wearing my hoodie. But I thought it was really good. I think that going for a destination like Florida, any place that's a good tourist town that's used to having the amount of traffic, I thought that, obviously plane tickets are very affordable to go to Orlando. So it's not expensive like going to other airports. And I thought the DoubleTree was a really great location to have it. I love the fact that there was a Starbucks that was in the courtyard of the hotel. And, unlike any other convention, there weren't, hour-long lines to get a cup of coffee. So that was great. So yeah, I give it 2 thumbs up. And there was stuff within walking distance, so it was really good.
All right. Alberto, you flew from the West Coast. Actually, at this show, there was a number of people who flew from the West Coast. I was very impressed. This is the most time I've ever seen so many California collectors, and they showed up on the East Coast. So, and you even had some time, spending at Universal and as well as Disneyland. So, Disney World. Alberto, what was your thoughts on the location of where the choice of hotel and Orlando?
I love the location for sure. A lot of the same reasons that Jeff mentioned, but it was great coming from the West Coast. We had been having almost 2 weeks of nonstop rain, so it was nice to actually make it to Florida one day ahead of time. And yeah, there was nothing going on necessarily in the con on Friday, but I used that day to go to Universal, spend the day there, spend 3 days at the con, which was location there was great. Again, you can go up to the room at any point in time. If you had your portfolio and you were tired of it, you could always just bring it up and go to your room, take a nap, get ready after the con. If you wanted to go have dinner or drinks, you could just drop off your stuff. It was just incredibly convenient. And then for me and a lot of people that also brought their families, the location again was great. You were 20 minutes away from Disney World and the parks there, so you could easily just make your way there and make a vacation out of it. So it wasn't like you were just traveling across the country for 2 days and then heading back. I ended up spending there almost a whole week.
A whole week, and Apple survived.
I think so. We'll see what the annual report shows, or quarterly report shows in a couple of months to see if that 1 week affected anything. But I think they'll be okay.
Okay, haven't heard of any layoffs from Apples. That's good news. But so Alberto, you went to all the different parks. Now, how far is the hotel from the parks? Is it walking distance, or do you have to take an Uber to each park?
I took an Uber to each park. Disney has made it very easy to have transportation to and from every park, but you're also dealing with buses and crowds of people and having to wait for them. And Uber in Orlando, even from the DoubleTree to go to Universal, which is supposed to be right there, but the Ubers were coming to pick you up within 5 minutes or less, and then you would just take a ride 5 minutes to wherever you were going. So it was incredibly convenient compared to what we get in Ubers here in the Bay Area, where sometimes you're going to be waiting 10, 15 minutes or longer sometimes to get your ride. So yeah, if you're going to Disney, as much as they're going to tell you that there's great transportation, you're using a quick Uber for $10 between the parks is incredibly convenient.
All right. Now the hotel is at the entrance of Universal, but it's not like you're at the front door, right? It means
Right.
You have to
Entrance and a good 15, 20-minute walk anyway, and you have to walk through Universal City Walk and all that stuff. It wasn't horrible. I could imagine that in the summer when it's 100 and something degrees, it's not something we want to do. The weather was very nice in January for sure, so it was bearable. But I'm glad I took an Uber, and it ended up being faster than if I had walked, even with the wait for the Uber and the drive there.
All right. So, Rob, you're pretty local. What is it? 30 minutes, an hour? How far are you from the convention?
Yeah, it's not a fair question for me because it was super convenient. I'm about an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours, depending on traffic. That's an easy drive. And it was super close. I'm a Hilton Honors member, so I got points. I mean, the location was great. And, you know, I'm thinking like if I'm coming from somewhere else, it's actually perfect because you're centrally located to a lot of the main places to see. You got Universal in front of you, SeaWorld. You know, I don't think you could have picked a better spot. And the room was what made the room so good is I think the amount of people, you know, it makes it feel comfortable, whether it's 30,000 square feet or 15,000 square feet. I think the amount of people was perfect. I love complaining, man, but I got not much to say in terms of complaints. It was great. It was perfect. Nice and quick to get there. I mean, hell, it was skull.
So you live about 2 hours away via car. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you stayed in the hotel overnight for like 3 nights, right?
Hell yeah, man. Everybody's buying me shots and drinks. How the hell am I going to go home? Why would I go home?
That's right. And I guess was it Thursday? You hauled all that art, all of your amazing art, all that keyboard art on Thursday, and then hauled it all back on after the show.
Yes. It was definitely a haul. It was, but you know, I have a big truck, so you know, it went in nice and it converted simply to get into the room, you know, from my car to back to the house. It wasn't bad at all. It was. I thought it was gonna be much worse. But I'll tell you, I used to do shows in the 90s when I had a comic book store, and lugging around 100 long boxes is a bigger pain in the ass than taking 35 pieces of art.
Right.
I'm gonna throw some punches at you, Castro.
All right. So I will say, location. I loved being in Florida that time of the season. I was there last year when Bill hosted his own house party, and a couple of us flew out for that. That was wonderful. Bill lives like 2 hours north in the countryside, but it was great weather. I will say my one, you say it was complaint, but my one complaint was that the Westin said a hard precedent for any con hotel. Then when I go to Heroes, they make you stay. You stay at the Westin. The Westin is pretty much the con hotel, and the Westin is really nice. Now, there's some convenience with the DoubleTree in terms of you can go down the elevator and the show's right there. However, the room in the DoubleTree, unfortunately, I don't think I can bring my wife to that room. I'm already going to have to stay in the Hyatt next time if I'm coming next year. And then the reason is because I need a room kind of like what Heroes provided with the Westin. Now, that's just me being bougie. I mean, I'll have to probably stay at the Hyatt or somewhere else just because, yes, Larry's a hotel elitist. that's correct. So,
well, Larry, and you and I talked about this because, all right, so I didn't stay at the hotel at the DoubleTree either because I get free rooms at the Hyatt because I work for the Hyatt. So I usually always stay at the Hyatt. So, but it did make me feel a little left out of all the fun. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to juggle that because at the end of every night, everybody else went upstairs to their rooms and I had to take an Uber back to my hotel. So there is a cost for staying in what would be a different location. But once again, that's, I can't answer to the rooms.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, the one thing though, Larry, is how much time did you really end up spending in the room though? Because it seemed like everybody was at Ailes Miller House every night until like 1 or 2 a.m. and everybody was back up by 9. So at that point, you can sleep just about anywhere. I mean, you can be all the bougie you want, but ultimately I didn't spend that much time in the room outside of going up and down to drop off my portfolio, use the restroom, and sleep anyway.
Now, don't get me wrong, the room was small, but I wasn't there to play, and go visit places. When I take the family, I definitely will rent a much bigger room, a suite. I can get a little bougie myself because I got a couple daughters and a wife who's a pain in my is great. So I get it, but just for the show, the room didn't bother me at all. Like Alberto said, how much time did we really spend in the room?
That's true. That's true. Honestly, I avoided the room because I think there was only like 1 or 2 elevator shafts that were working. I think there were 3 doors, but I think only 1 or 2 worked. That was a problem in the morning. Oh yes, there you go. Yeah, Jason brought it out. Man, when I opened that door, when I checked in that room, my goodness, that room stank. That room smells like what the hell? So I think it's just because it's a part of Orlando and it's the humidity added to the smell. But yeah. So all right. Oh, and also, like I said, I'm used to going to a hotel. They already have like the body wash and all those other lotion and purse like that. This hotel didn't give me anything. Gave me there's like a big bottle of lotion, the shared shampoo in the corner of the bathroom. But that's just me. I like my accommodations. But that's to me that's a small thing because I didn't spend that much time in a hotel. There are perks there. Like you get off the elevator, you're right there next to the show. And if you want to just chill out, have fun, you can walk outside the door and take a couple steps out. You're at Miller's Ale House. And I think there's also some, Korean beef or some kind of Japanese Kobe meat. I think some folks ate there as well too. But for most of the time, I think a lot of us got full at Miller's Ale House for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, but I understand where you're coming from because that piece of art you bought was bigger than your damn room, so I get it.
That's true. I figured if I entered with that and my wife was like, "Well, you can sleep with that piece of art in your office." Yeah. All right, folks. So now we're going to get to the polling. James, all right. So I'm going to put this here for everybody so they can join Slido and they can add to the, to the polling. Now, I'm just going to go through each of you and ask what your opinion from 1 to 10. How would you rate this, where 10 is being the highest? Alberto, how do you rate this location here?
I honestly voted and gave it a 10. I don't think Bill or Casper could have done much better. I'm not a hotel elitist like you. Orlando was great. The convenience to all the parks and other activities was great. The room had everything I possibly needed for a couple days. So I gave it a 10.
All right. Jeff, what do you give this? How do you score the location?
Well, like I said, I thought it was a great location. I loved the look. The courtyard was wonderful. It was a lot of space to move around in. Once again, I can't speak for the rooms because I didn't stay in them, so I don't know for that as far as Florida goes and Orlando goes, and just everything that was around there. And you're right, Miller's Ale House was in walking distance. There was lots of places to eat. I mean, I'm not 10 would mean there's no place to go up from this, so I'm going to give it a 9 because everything can always get a little bit better. But I think that as far as where it was located in the United States, the amount of the space that we were in, and just the convenience of having the certain things that were around there, I'll definitely give it a 9.
Yep. And Rob, how do you rate this?
I mean, relative to what we're using it for, I can't see why we would give it less than a 10. The room was spacious. The courtyard was nice and big to walk through. The hotel was very convenient, coming from your room right to where the show was, to have your little places to eat right inside. I mean, for that reason alone, I have to give it a 10, and for people coming from further away that have not been in Florida, being so close to the attractions, it's a 10. I don't know. I'd like to give a reason, because I enjoy complaining, but I can't think of any reason to give it less than that. It was perfect. I can't see anything better.
All right. Well, I'm going to give it a 9 just because, I'm a hotel elitist. But the great news about this whole location is that there's potential for it to grow. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares where I stay at. I could either stay in the hotel. I could stay that doesn't matter. But the location itself, the hotel, if you look at it, it looks like they're not even taking up half the space within the whole convention center. So there's some potential for this place to grow, and who knows if it grows bigger than the location, bigger than the DoubleTree Convention Hall, who knows what the next location will be. But I think we're good here. So James, what is our final poll? Did the panelists get to vote?
I voted.
Ooh, look at that.
Look at that. So average score is 8.6. It looks like we got was that 1 or 2 votes that were a 1. Not sure who those guys are, but you got someone who's
Marcus.
Yeah,
Marcus, you're not allowed to vote. You were not even there. I'm sure that one was Marcus.
So probably. And then we got some folks who rated it as an 8, or sorry, as a 7. So would like to hear what their thoughts are, but of course I don't want, not calling anybody out, but if you rated less than a 7, probably if you rated like at a 7 or an 8, just put a message in terms of what you thought about it. Anyways, so location, it looks like everybody thought this was a great location, and I think especially in late January, this is a great location. All right.
I don't know how someone could put a 7. I would bet dollars to donuts that whoever put a 7 wasn't even at the freaking show. There's nothing that would say it was a 7. That's bullcrap. Because it's right there. It was perfect. I mean, even Larry, who doesn't like the rooms, gave it a 9. So those 7s probably weren't even there. That's what I say.
Right. And the one thing that falls into under location that doesn't really fall under location is like time of year, which is not addressed in any of the questions that we've got tonight. So and it's like, I know a lot of people were hoping that it would be later because they're still recovering from the holidays and stuff, but to boil it down, I mean, it's the perfect time of year to do a show in the winter, to have people travel. So you can't blame Bill for wanting to do it in January. You just can't. January, February is the perfect time. So
okay. So Mikal said I gave it a 7, which is great, but I see things getting even better in the future. So That's a really good perspective. I trust Macau. I don't think there's anything malicious about what he's saying. He's trying to grade it in his perspective, and there's room to grow in this location. So
that's not a good perspective at all, Larry, because the show was perfect. I mean, you're saying a 7. Give a reason. You can't just say, "Oh, because I say so." Bull. It's going to get better and it's going to be bigger in the future, but it has nothing to do with the location. Macau, are you drinking right now? Come on.
I'm glad the voting's anonymous here. Otherwise, Rob is ready to go take you down if you voted.
For that crap. I said people will do my work.
Okay. He said 7. I'm in UX research. A 7 to 8 is not a bad score on research rating scales. So, anyways, there are various factors in terms of what we're going to judge on today. But to me, it sounds like we chose a great. Now, I mean, would have been a better location? We can't do Hawaii because I think the attendance would be much less. But I mean, is Southern California a better location? I don't know. I think Orlando, especially with the vicinity next to Universal and next to Disney World, I have to give the location a big plus in terms of where it's at. So, all right. So we're gonna take this down, and we're gonna move to our next criteria.
I think we know Jason's opinions on California.
All right, star power. So star power, I'm talking about. I'm sorry, guys. I'm reading the Q&A. I'm reading the Q&A in the Slido, and it's pretty hilarious. Say, why did you flip my painting? I didn't make any money on it. Apparently, I was bidding for Bill. I didn't even know it. I made that Dawn and Silver Surfer with my heart, and it's sad to see Larry treated like a commodity. If I lubed up your shaft, would you keep my painting? All right. Okay, star power. Well, apparently Mike Allred brings a lot of star power to this show because he's making it much enjoyable for me. But let's start with you, Wolvie Fan. What did you think about the guest list? You got Bob Lane. You got a lot of the dealers that you've dealt with, and you got a lot of the customers. What did you think about the star power here?
So are we rating star power with regards to the artists as the stars, or
good question. I guess whoever you consider the celebrity. So I guess, yes, the artists would be the first one, probably.
I mean, we're not really considering, the dealers, right? Or the collectors. We're really
you told me you met Bashara and you loved him. I mean, you just like, but all right. But yes, the star power, I guess we're focusing on the artists.
Okay. So, I mean, I think it was I'd probably give that an 8. I think it was real good. I think for a first show, it was to get, to have guys like Adam Hughes, Adam Kubert, Simone Bianchi, and a bunch of other people I'm not going to mention because, I forgot all the names already. It's a big deal, It was nice to see a lot of your cousins over there, the Filipinos, showing their art. I thought that was super cool. I mean, I would probably say an 8. I liked it. I thought it was good. Now, when Mikkel talks about room for growth, yeah, I think there's room for growth on that list for sure. But for a first show, I thought it was tremendous.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, what about you? I know you were sitting there next to Bill Morrison. You did find some time to walk the floor. What did you think about the star power in terms of making this show a great place to visit, meet other artists?
Oh, I mean, I thought it was incredible. I mean, like I said, I'm right there with Wolvie on. I mean, I would definitely give it an 8 because there's always room to go up. But they had I mean, I was sitting across from Dan Jurgens and Bob McLeod, and you've got Ken Lashley down the side, and you've got all these there's all these artists everyone. That was just the ones that I was staring at all day. There was tons of other artists. There's people I'm more of a collector from the late 80s and early 90s. So it's like that's where my wheelhouse is. So I was introduced to a ton of new artists that I didn't even know before the show. And it was and of course there was all the big names, the ones you had Jimmy and you had Amanda and just tons and tons of people. And I think that it was a great first start. I think there's definitely room to keep moving up and keep using this show as a stepping point to get even more big name people at the show. And I think that, but for a first show, like I said, there was tons of people. Everybody was really nice. The conversations were great. It was just, you couldn't ask for a nice, more intimate setting with bigger names to start off, what I hope is going to be years and years and years of OAX. So I'm right there with Wolvie. I'll give it an 8 and say that, I definitely think we can expand on it and get some more people in there. I mean, everybody has their names of people that they collect, and there's an endless amount. But with your Garcia Lopez's and Kevin Nolan's, that's definitely a great place to start off with. And you can only, you can just try to equal that and move a little better from year to year. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right. Before I get to Alberto, I want to make sure I don't lose this. So Joseph Damon asked a question, huge question for attendees. How much did you set up before the show with artists? And did you see enough new stock from art dealers to make it a good show? Asking for future potential for Humberto. So I'm going to start addressing it, and the rest of you can. So in terms of setting up before show with the artist. So the great thing was that Bill and Casfra arranged a lot of those commissions before the show. I got one from Amanda Connor. I got one from Josh Casera, and those were two that I've been looking for art from for quite a while. And I know some other artists, Mark Allred and also Sean Murphy. So a lot of big names set up commissions through comic art fans at the show, and I think that made that helped the show a lot. I mean, it's like you have these rare opportunities, and even Adam Hughes was doing commissions, and it's hard to get commissions from Adam Hughes at the show, and I think he did like a handful of them. So I think if Humberto came to Orlando, go to OAX, I think he would have several people sign up for him, depending on the rates that he has. And in terms of the stock from the new art dealers, I thought I saw some unique artwork that I didn't see previously at shows. For example, I know Will Gabriel had some art that he didn't have before.
Bashar too.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys had any thoughts to help Joseph with his, in terms of, was it a good show to bring Humberto to?
Well, I was saving a lot of this stuff for number 5 when we were going to talk about available art, but I'm gonna wait and let I'm gonna let Alberto go first here, since he hasn't had his turn yet.
Okay. All right, Alberto. So what did you think about the Star? You don't go to many conventions, so coming here, you got a show with 60 artists that you probably never met.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd give it an 8 or a 9. I mean, there's so many artists in this hobby that everybody's going to come up with some names that they wish had been at OAX and wasn't. But at the same time, I don't think you can look at the list of artists and say that any of them didn't belong in that list. We had such amazing talent of some older artists from several years ago to brand new artists. There was a lot of card artists. There was a great variety, and I really think, from my perspective, yes, I could come up with a bunch of names that I think had been there. Mike Zeck, Art Adams, Alan Davis. I mean, everybody can come up with, I'm sure, 10 names of artists that they wish had been there. But and I'm sure Kazra and Bill are already working on some of them, but that might mean that some of the artists that were there this year will not be there next year. But when you're starting to look at just the lineup that was right in front of Rob's booth, right? You had Adam Hughes, Amanda Connor, and Palmiotti, Adam Kubert. I mean, those three next to each other was just an amazing lineup. And
yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the work that all three of them are doing. And then you could say the same thing across the board. If you look at the other end of the room where Bashar and Will were, across from them, you had Bob Layton, you had John Beatty. Then you had the corner of artists from Essential Sequential with Finch. And I mean, you couldn't really look at any but artists and say, what the heck are you doing there? So could more artists have been there? Yes. Do I think the star power was low? Absolutely not. And yeah, I don't think anyone could give it less than an 8 or a 9.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? I'll move that to 8, 9. Yeah, you're right, because I didn't walk around the show much, and just you briefly going over some of the guys that were there, I didn't even pay mind to. Unfortunately, I wish I did. You're probably right, man. Probably closer to a 9. So I changed my mind, Larry, if that's all right. I'm going from an 8 to a 9.
No worries. All right. Well, I want to bring up something because I remember Jeff Dunn. I was talking to you Friday night, and you were like, "This is Friday night. You're sitting at the table with Dan Jurgens. You spent like half an hour with him, and then you spent another half hour with like Brian Stelfreeze, and you spent another half hour with another artist.
Mm-hmm.
Where else could you do that? No other.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a VIP at Fan Expo. You're not getting that.
Right. Yeah. And that was the thing. Like I said, I don't want to dwell too much on stuff,
Yeah.
but and since we have so many categories to go through, but that was honestly Friday night was like, we're basically at a comic book art show, or just an art show in general. And there was no art. There was just collectors and artists. And it was probably one of the most fun nights I ever had at any sort of a con that I can remember. I mean, like I said, I had conversation with like Ken Lashley for about 20 minutes. And then I had to leave a conversation that was like 30 minutes long with Brian Stelfreeze to go sit next to Dan Jurgens and Bob McLeod. And we talked about art for an hour and a half, just artists all the way coming up. And there's no place else you're going to have access to artists like this, to have these great conversations and just sit and listen. And you're just not ever going to have that opportunity. And that's one of the great things about OAX. And I've been doing shows for over 30 years, and I've had my share of, conversations with people, in that capacity, but never anything like it that just had. And that, like I said, that's the night before the show. That's before the show even began. You almost forget that there's 2 days of show left after you have that kind of a great evening.
Yeah. Access to the artists was awesome. And they were all super cool, easy to approach, to talk with. That's a good point, Jeff. Yeah, that was a definite big plus. And they all seem like they want to be there. I've been to shows and the artist is like, you know what, move on, next. This was definitely a different feel. It was a lot of access to the artist, which is 10 plus for sure.
All right, so I'm going to open the polls so that folks can vote here. So for Star Power, what do you rate it at? And I will say that there are 60 artists. Many of them, a lot of them I've met before, ran into cons. I had some rare opportunities for commissions, like I said before. But I think what really Jeff really said in terms of Friday night, I was able to sit with Josh Cassera. I was able to have some chat with Brian Stelfreeze as well too. So there was a number of artists who were mingling with all the fans on Friday night. You just don't have that anywhere else.
Yeah,
just don't have, maybe Lake Como. I haven't lived in Lake Como, so I don't know. But doing that at OAX, I've never experienced that before. And whether they were like the real big famous artists or they were moderate artists, it was fun to chat with them. There was also store owners that were in the crowd as well too. Now, I don't know many of them before that day, but it was interesting. And I had some chat with some of the store owners. So Friday night was incredible in terms of meeting some folks. So I'm going to rate this as a 9 because, as everybody else said, there's still some potential because there are big named artists that everybody would love to see there. Now, there's nothing wrong with having Dave Finch and Adam Hughes there, but and Sean Murphy. I mean, those are huge names. But maybe one year I can bring Alan Davis. Maybe another year someone can bring Brian Boland. So there's opportunities to bring even huge names from even overseas. So, yeah. All right. So don't forget panelists to vote, and I'm gonna put mine in. All right. Do we have enough for results? It's like we got 24 voters today.
Yeah, I'm not even going to talk about Sunday night. I got to sit at the bar with Jose Luis Garcia Lopez and with Fred, and we talked for like over an hour, just talking about everything, life, his work. I mean, you're not going to get that in another show. You really aren't.
Okay, so looks like 8.9 for Star Power, which is really high. I mean, that's pretty much a 9 out of 10. So, Bill and Casser, they worked really hard in terms of bringing their guests, and it's paid off. I better really just share with Alan Davis. funny, Casser. All right, so 8.9. I think that's really well. Mm-hmm. And we'll go on to the next criteria. Next one. So the show floor experience. Now, pretty much show floor experiences. You know, again, I think Jeff's and Wolvie Fan, your experiences were different from me and Alberto, because me and Alberto were doing a lot of the roaming, and while you guys unfortunately had to be tied down to the table because you were making too much money. So I'll start with you, Wolvie Fan, since what's your perspective, even though you were probably trapped in your table for most of the show, but how would you say your show floor experience was?
I didn't really walk around much because my helper was my 15-year-old daughter, and I didn't want her making $7,000 sales, you know? So I didn't walk around much. The couple
we're all hoping for, Rob, that you would leave so we could try to bargain with your daughter.
Yeah. I told her, anyone comes in, you go increments of 250 just once. But I didn't get to walk much, unfortunately. I wish I did. The couple times I did get out from behind my table, it was fun to see a lot of the collectors, with their name tags, putting names to faces that I see in the chat. That was great, and people coming up, hey, and I was like, oh shit, you're that guy, so that was fun. I don't know if that's included in your floor experience, but
sure.
Like I said, the couple times I got out, I did enjoy getting to meet other people and getting to speak for a little bit with the guys out there, and there was so much room. It was beautiful to walk through there, man. I mean, you could have went through there with a bulldozer. Perfect. Yeah. So, I mean, for what it is and for what I did, I would, for me, it's an easy 10.
All right. So Wolvie, we're going to try to pick this up anywhere you can. So was anything wrong with the lunch you had? Was it, what about the bathroom? Was all that still perfect for you?
Look at the size of me. You think guys like me and Jason complain about the free food? Come on now. No, I was happy with it. It was fine. No, I was okay with it. He brought me an extra sandwich, that freaking Cosmo. Thank you, brother.
Oh, nice.
It was fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you had no issues with the bathroom at all, right?
The bathroom?
Finally leaving your table to use the bathroom? Yeah.
I'm freaking 50 years old. I still can go fine. Yeah, no, I had no issues going to the bathroom. None of that. I will tell you this, though. One thing I didn't go to, I know that they had the war room set up, but I never got there. I don't know where it was. I don't know where it was or what it was. I did want to get out and grab a couple sodas or something for myself. So let's go to a 9 instead of a 10. Not that really, mattered. So I didn't get to see the war room. I didn't, I didn't get to sit in the back with some of the collectors to talk art. So take it for what it's worth.
You say war room? Is that the green room, or is that like someone's planning something, or what?
No, he's talking about the green room.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Green room.
Okay. I don't know what the green room looked like. Was that the big room? Was that the auction room where some people hung out? Or
I did not even find out there was a green room until after the show was over, and I could all be hearsay. I don't know. I don't know if there actually was a green room. Might have just been this magical place that they were dangling in front of us.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry.
No problem. Alberto, I'm going to jump to you so we'll get an attendees standpoint. So, Alberto, I know like you said, you don't go to many cons, and you flew out across the country for this one. What did you think? What did you like about the show floor experience?
I definitely give it an 8. I think the main floor, the showroom, was incredible. One of the reasons why I don't like to go to cons is they just always feel cramped, and you have lines of 30 people waiting for artists, and it just becomes annoying and overwhelming. Here there was plenty of room to walk around, stop by, and chat with people. You could approach the artists and the dealers without having to wait in line for 10-15 minutes. So I don't think there's absolutely anything you can really complain about in terms of the main showroom. What I think was a little bit of a miss was that I don't think a whole lot of people were aware of everything that was in the back. I don't think a lot of people knew that there was the exhibit with the card art and that you could see the auction pieces in person ahead of the auction in there. I think a lot of people missed out on the Adam Kubert exhibit that had his pieces as well as Rob's pieces in there. I don't know if people necessarily knew that you could go to the room where the auction took place, and there were tables in there during the day for people to sit down and spread out with their portfolios and share art with people and just take a break and sit down and talk to people. So the fact that that was a little bit in the back, I think got missed by a lot of folks. And it would have been great if more people were aware of it. And I'm sure that Casper and Bill have heard that already from a bunch of people. But there was definitely, I think, a little bit of a missed opportunity. And next year, if they plan on doing more of those exhibits and galleries and special rooms, I'm sure they'll advertise it a little bit more. But that would be, to me, the only thing that I think was missing.
Okay. Thanks. All right, Jeff. So, what are your thoughts on the show? I mean, I know you spend most of it next to Bill Morrison, but when you
I didn't get out a whole lot, but I got out a little bit, just enough to walk around and see. You know, I got a few minutes where I was able. I mean, that's my only complaint, was I was working, so I couldn't dig through all the incredible art that there was there. You know, and get around to all the. You know, I tried to make it around the room to at least do a couple of figure eights so I could see everything that was there. But I didn't really get to dig in. I mean, if you had time, I mean, once again, for somebody who's just attending the show, you'd have plenty of time to do that. And like, there's so much space to move around in. Nobody was bumping into each other. There was never any huge lines for anybody. You could see everything. It was definitely had an art, more of an art room feel than a convention feel. Maybe not our booth. We had our booth done up like a convention booth, but it's just because we had so much stuff since Bill brought his. The original art for Simpsons #1 that took up a lot of space, and we were trying to put stuff where we could. But and about the bathrooms, they were I mean, they were far away in terms of everything else was so close. Like if that was a regular con, those bathrooms would have been so close, you wouldn't have even noticed. But it's because everything else was so close that the bathrooms being on either side of the convention, they felt like they were so far away. But it wasn't like they were actually far away. They just in relative area to what we were in. But no,
you're picky.
Listen, like I said, I'm not picking anything. I give it a 10. I think it was great. Like I said, I think it just I think some people felt like the bathrooms were far away, and at one point I think I heard somebody needed to use a stall, and there was basically one stall in each one of the men's rooms. So if you went to one way, you had to walk all the way to go to the other one. So once again, luckily that wasn't my complaint, so I was okay. But that's
also the beauty of the size of the crowd. You can get from one side of the room to the other in minutes. You know.
Yep. No, it was like I said, it was really nice. I like I said, I heard there was a green room, but I didn't really hear about it while the show was going on. I kind of found out about it on the last day, and by then we didn't really get to use it. And that, once again, that's for vendors and dealers. It wasn't for the people attending. So we, Wolvie Fan and I, we could have taken advantage of it, but we just never got a chance to kind of get to that. I did go through the exhibits once, a little faster than I would have liked, but I went through both the card exhibit and the exhibit for Adam Kubert. So I did get to see those. I was not aware that you could look at all of the auction pieces before the auction, though. So that would have been something I probably would have liked to have done. But yeah, no, I have, as far as the show floor, it was a wonderful experience walking that floor and the amount of space and people and to reiterate, meeting people who I'd never met in person, who I only know by their tags for the first time was also a wonderful experience.
Yeah, when Kasher pitched the green room to me, he was talking about mimosas and a full spread breakfast. So I really wanted to get there, but he was very conveniently, sneakily hiding it from us.
I'm kept it in his penthouse room. Kept it in his penthouse. Yeah. So Rollins said we needed a way to connect with other connectors during the show. I miss connecting with some of the names that I only see in chat, so I didn't know some of the collectors were at the show. Honestly, I didn't know Ronald was at the show. So, but we met also many collectors at the show itself. So my thoughts about the show floor experience probably reflects a lot of what everybody said. I think the room was probably deceptively, some people may have thought the room was kind of small, but it's actually very large. It was so large that when I tried to coordinate and try to meet up with some folks, it took a while for me to find them. I mean, there were at least 60 artists, and then you had all the dealers, and then a lot of collectors had their own tables. So it is actually a really, really big room, and there were hardly any lines anywhere. I saw Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti have a line at that table, but they're really popular. And we're saying line, we're talking about like maybe 6 people deep. That's about as deep as you're going to see for a line. But otherwise, there's no lines anywhere else, and there was a lot of space to roam around. I honestly spent more time talking to other collectors. I met, DT Tube at the show. He also flew on the West Coast. We talked about some things, and then we shared each other's portfolios. There was a lot of portfolio sharing going around in that floor. I spent more time talking to the collectors than I did to the artists themselves. But there was a lot of show and tell going on, and I think it was Chuck who brought it up in the Thursday update. Was that what would have been nice was if you had some tables in the middle of the show, like they did in Columbus, where folks can open their portfolios and show other people. That would have been nice. But I think Bill said he thought about it, but it just couldn't work with the spacing. So hopefully next year we have this sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, some kind of space, just a room with tables for collectors to come in and bust out their portfolios. Now, I saw people busting out their portfolios at the beginning of the con. As soon as I got in the hotel, there's someone in the courtyards, Robert Berman, who was showing his entire collection off to other collectors, and nobody complained. Everybody loved seeing the art, no matter where it is or when. And I will say this. I went to the con. Tom Coker, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. I've never met him before. The first time I saw him was at the show. At the show, he brought a John Byrne X-Men double page splash with the Wolverine attacking Sauron. That's probably one of the best X-Men double page splash I've ever seen. He brought that to the show. He brought a Dave Stevens to the show. He brought one of the best Wally Woods I've ever seen. That was from the EC Comics days with the sci-fi. That was absolutely incredible. And I heard that he actually showed it was print. He actually owns a radio, but he showed the print up for the con. I don't know, but I was pretty much in awe when I was looking at it on the show floor. I was like, this is incredible. This Wally Wood sci-fi cover. And then he also had this Brian Boland Judge Dredd cover. That was also amazing. So Tom, he brought it out. He's like, I got my three pieces and they're all worth $1 million together. And he brought it out to that show and he showed it off. He just right there in front of the show. And I was in awe. So that kind of made the show floor experience for me as well, in terms of I saw this piece of art on the floor that I never thought I would see anywhere else. And of course, I met all the new collectors. We did a lot of show and tell. That was all fun. So I'm going to give the show floor experience a 10. I haven't had a show floor experience like this where I'm just running into people I know left and right and meeting new people. And it is a great way to meet. Oh, of course, I saw Man of Steel number 19. I don't really have any. Socrates had brought a really nice portfolio, and one of them was a Man of Steel Death of Superman cover, and that was gorgeous. So some people brought some really nice stuff. All right, so I guess we're gonna go to the polling, and let's see, guys. All right, so I'm going to do my votes. I'm voting this as a 10. I believe most of you guys have voted 9 to 10, so this is probably going to be pretty high as well, too. So I hope everybody else had a great experience on the floor. Let's see. Let's see. I had a print of John Byrne on the floor, but the real one had a print of John Byrne on the floor. I asked, he showed me the real one. Oh, really? Wow, he made a print of that one too. Wow, this guy. Collector. Oh, by the way, Sincastro brought out try to point out where the green rooms. I will say it is really nice to go to a convention and have a map, a layout in terms of where everybody is. Mm-hmm. Now, I think last time I went to Fan Expo, my goodness, I mean, they have like 1 million tables and in their artist alley, everybody stuffed like a sardine. At least this is how it was when I went to one of the Fan Expos in Dallas. That was like that was I thought that was ridiculous. But in here, you had a nice layout. Everybody had space, and it was clearly defined where all the exhibitors and where the artists were. So I give that big props to Casser and Bill for having a map of the floor.
Yeah, and listen, and I do a lot of shows, with the artists that we bring, and it was actually funny because we set it up like a normal show, and we realized that we had about like 4 more feet behind us than we normally would. And we set up like a normal show, and we're just like, moving like we normally do. And then I like had this realization. I like pushed everything back like 2 feet, and I was like, there's nobody behind us. That's the end. There's a curtain there that's only waist high, and then the other person's on the other side of that. It was beautiful. I was like, oh my God, this is all us. We get to have all this space. So from a dealer or from a exhibitor standpoint, I mean, the space was even more. It was perfect. It was, you wouldn't feel crushed. You could move around other artists and stuff from behind, and didn't worry about bumping into anything. So that's another, for the other side of the floor experience, I'd love to throw in there.
All right. Looks like we have 18 votes, and we'll go ahead and show the results. So 10. I think that's over. Well, average is 9.3. I think that's pretty overwhelming to say that the show floor experience was incredible. So big props to Casper and Bill. That is what you guys go to a convention for, is to pretty much be in the showroom and enjoy yourselves. And looks like everybody who went enjoyed themselves. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Down to the next criteria. Available art. I will say that I made the mistake of going to the con and thought all I would do is pick up commissions. I did not. I went way over budget, and it probably would have been way over budget if I didn't let Bill take the all red painting. I was still willing to keep the all red painting, but I was there on Saturday, and I just couldn't stop spending money, giving most of it to Wolvie Fan.
That's how I know I was too cheap on my prices. Wise guy.
but Wolvie Fan, you did something interesting. You said, I'm gonna start my website the same time of OAX. So anything that you had on your website before, you weren't going to price it until OAX. So you made, that's when you pretty much made, when everything was available, was when the start of OAX. So why don't you tell me, and I know you probably didn't have, I don't know if you did have time to walk around and shop, but what was your experience as a seller there?
Well, I could probably talk forever on this because it was surreal. Yeah, I started early because I wanted to grow the anticipation, I guess, of getting out there and seeing some art that hasn't been out there for sale in a while, and try and get some traffic onto my site. Look, I'm an old man. I don't know how to do sites and stuff. Lucky for me, my daughter and her fiance did the whole damn thing for me. But I got to tell you, it was pretty incredible. I launched my site the same time the show opened, so I was getting hits on both. I was selling art, and I was getting hits on the website, which I'll never do that again, because sometimes people were buying stuff at the same time, and unfortunately, one guy bought a piece online and I sold it. It was an $800 Doctor Strange, and I returned his money right away. But he was so pissed at me, he said, "Please unsubscribe me." So it was tough, but I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought the way I planned it worked wonders, because I saw a lot of people buying from my site and from my table that I didn't even know, so it was, I thought a lot of the guys were going to be, regulars that I speak to, but honestly, I think only one or two guys, or maybe three guys that I speak to regularly, bought from me, which would include Larry and Alberto. But a lot of new faces that came and bought from me. It was fantastic. And look, I'm not the best in pricing. I went all out. From a few months ago, I haven't shared this with anybody, so if I have a few minutes, you guys are okay with it. I reached out to 7 collectors. I didn't tell them that I was reaching out to 7 people, and I asked all 7 of them, please don't tell anybody that you're going to help me out with prices, but I want you to give me a list of your opinion of what some of these pieces should go for. So all 7 of them, got back to me, and I put on a spreadsheet what each guy had said. And what I did is I took their 7 numbers, then I averaged them, and then I put their number together, and then I would come up with my own number and see how far apart they were. So in all that conglomeration and mess, I came up with my prices. I know some of the guys thought that, oh, wow, I'm the only guy helping them, but I had 7 friends give me their opinions on pricing. And they were all very cool, gave me a detailed list on on a Microsoft Excel. And, I was able to come up with what I thought were fair prices for the collectors. I hope, but we always say that these damn dealers are too expensive, but I'm starting to see why, because it's hard to get product to sell. It's hard to get art to sell. And it's hard to get good quality art at fair pricing to pay it forward. It's in the next few weeks, I'm going to be down a lot of nice pieces, and it's difficult to fill those holes. It definitely is. So it's definitely a unique experience for me, and it was fun. I had a great time, and it reminded me of when I was a kid, at the comic book shows selling my comic books, but the number was considerably different in sales. So I had a great time, and I really appreciate the guys, Bill and Kajra, letting me drum it up a little, a few times before the show. That was super cool then, because I think that helped too.
Now, sorry, Rob, were you able to find some time to wheel and deal, like when there was downtime and like trade or do any trades or
no? And that's my favorite part of the show. I love going to tables and buying and negotiating, and it wasn't for lack of funds. We did okay. I did not have a chance to go out and see Mike or Bashara or even the other collectors to buy, because I promise you, I was ready to buy, and I didn't have a chance, unfortunately. Sorry, but no, I didn't.
Oh,
okay. All right. Well, Jeff, what about your experience in terms of what you saw in available art?
I mean, like I said, I once again, I didn't get out, which is probably a good thing, because I probably would have spent way more money. In fact, I was supposed to pick up a piece. I had asked Glenn to bring a piece to the show that I was going to try and do a little something with. And then, unfortunately, Glenn wasn't able to come to the show. And I was like, oh, okay, well, good. At least I'm not going to get to see that piece, which is disappointing, but it was the only piece I had inquired about for the show. So I was like, oh, I'm just not going to leave with anything. It's okay. And then, there was, of course, the art auction, where I wasn't even going to get a paddle. I was not going to do anything. And then Kazra made sure I got one. So of course I had to bid on some stuff, but, like I said, that we'll save that for a different category, but it's as far as the art that was there, the only person missing was Moy. I think other than him, there was a ton of art dealers there. There's people that, you don't usually see. And you have to understand that, Florida, MegaCon itself, there's no art dealers at that show. It's just artists and all of the other millions of things that go. No, there's nobody there. Nobody comes to that show. Now people go there to meet the artists and get art from the artists themselves, but there are zero art dealers at that show. So to have that in Florida was something very unique. And I didn't know what to expect, because like I said, I've never seen art dealers in that part of Florida before, but it was everybody. And it was so great to see all of these art dealers. Like I said, the only one missing was Moy. If he had been there, it would have been an 11, but like I said, I have to put it at a 10 for art, not just art, because all the artists were doing art and brought art, and all the art dealers had tons of art. And it was, and then, like I said, all you had to do was walk over to the Cool Lines to Rich and Donnelly's and look, and it was just grail after grail after grail just on the wall. And I didn't even get to dig through the piles and piles of art that they had. So it was, if you're looking for art, like I said, short of an art show like the ones they have in California and New York, I would say this is even better, because you can actually get art straight from artists and meet artists and do all of that. So I give, once again, I give it a 10 for art. And like I said, if Moy had been there, I would have knocked it up to an 11.
Yeah, he missed out. I think he would have done great.
Hopefully he learns from this and comes next year, because that's like I said, now that everybody did that. And I know Anthony was worried that he wasn't going to be doing any business, and he ended up doing great business too. So, and he didn't even have his full slate of stuff. So I know everybody did pretty good at the show. So hopefully, fingers crossed.
So Jeff, you didn't have time to look through any portfolios while you're there?
I went to Berkey's booth and I got to look through one bin. Luckily he had it labeled, and it was the kind of art that I like. It's the stuff from the late 80s and the the very early 90s. So I got to look through one thing, and I went over to, because I was doing some business, like Alberto picked up some pieces for me that he was very nice to purchase off of the amateur dueling dealers. So I brought him pieces. I also bought Rich Donnelly some pieces that he bought from me on the amateur dueling dealers. So I got to go to the table, but I didn't really get a whole lot of time to look through stuff. When I got away, it was purposeful. It was to get food. It was to get something to drink. It was to use the facilities. It wasn't, I would get, so I got 10, 15 minutes here or there, but you'd be surprised how fast that goes when you bump into so many people that you want to talk to on your way to where you want to go. So I wish I had had more time. Once again, if I had been a guest, it would have been a completely different experience, but working the show, it was still a great experience. But yeah,
Okay.
you always need more time to look through stuff, always.
Trust me, it's better that you didn't have time, because my budget ended up getting destroyed.
Well, I still managed to go over to Jason and pick up a piece I'd been eyeing for a year and a half, that I wasn't planning on getting, because I was planning on spending money on something else, but I was like, I'm not leaving here with, just this limited number of pieces. I got to get something. So.
Yeah, Alberto did some spending also, my friend. You did pretty good out there. You got some good stuff.
Yeah, he did. I blew out my budget, but Alberto just nuked his budget.
Alberto, I'm going to show you the only piece I got that you're really going to be jealous of, and this was a free gift to me by a friend, Mr. Michael Benham. And look at this beautiful Sandy Warhol type Captain America free drawing that I got from my good friend for no reason other than he just did it for me. And I'm like, this is some beautiful stuff.
That's
this
awesome.
Makes it all worthwhile. You don't even see the detail. You got to get in there, man. It's crazy. Look at that.
I expected it the next time at your dueling dealers, and I was not.
I told Mike, this is going up in my bathroom, buddy. That's what I want to see this every day.
I'm dying to try one of those amateur dueling dealers, but I never get the call. I must have offended someone.
Oh, you just got to bother Bill. That's what
I don't think you're an amateur anymore.
I still am.
Now. Yeah. All right, Alberto. So you must have saw a lot of available art. Because,
yes, I think anybody that went there with the hope of not buying anything probably realized within the first 10 minutes of OAX that was just not going to happen. And honestly, I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time going to the actual dealers, but I actually relied on collectors pinging me all the time, whether it was Fish or Larry, and it would be like, hey, did you go to Adam Hughes' booth? He has a Captain America cover. Or did you go to this other booth? Or Adam Kubert is suddenly willing to sell one of his covers that he never really sells. And my budget just kept getting blown up and blown up and blown up and blown up until I realized that it was Saturday night, and I was glad to not be attending the show on Sunday, because I was going to the parks, because I know if I had spent more time at the floor on Sunday, I would have spent more. So I'm glad I was able to get, but yeah, there was an endless amount of art, and I wish in a way I had time to stop by and look at a lot of what Berkey had for sale, or Bashara or Will. I did that very quickly. I did do some wheeling and dealing with Anthony and picked up an Epting piece from him too, that he had tried to target me during a dueling dealer show, but I had not taken the bite during that show, and we ended up making a deal afterwards. But yeah, there was just such an insane amount of available art for sale from either artists or dealers or collectors setting up their booths, even if they were not really dealers, but a lot of people were just throwing art that it was impossible to not get tempted.
So Alberto, did you leave any cap art for Rick? Sir,
I actually, sadly, Rick's not here, but I actually went and told Rick about several pieces of art that I saw that I know would be right up his alley of what he collects. There were definitely some Kevin Maguire Captain America pieces that he likes that I made sure I went to him. Obviously, he was very tempted by a lot of what Michael Lovitz had for show in there. We actually made a great trade of 2 Hembeck Captain America villains cards. He gave me a Red Skull that I did not have in exchange for a Batroc that I did have. So that was my big trade of the con, Hembeck for Hembeck sketch card. But yeah, an insane amount of art, some of which will arrive hopefully this week. Casper was graceful enough to not keep my Adam Kubert cover to himself and finally got it shipped this week and should arrive at some point. So thanks, Casper, for taking that responsibility. I know he was sick, but those 20 by 30 pieces, I don't know how the heck I would have brought it home myself.
So you got that Kubert piece you bought pretty much at the end of the showroom floor, right? You probably pretty much bought it like right before the auction. Is that right?
On Saturday at some point, I met up with.
Okay. Did you overspend before you even bought the Adam Kubert cover?
Yes, because I had picked up the Adam Hughes cover.
Okay.
Right before. The two Adams basically destroyed my budget.
Yes.
Okay. So are you going to do anything differently next year? Because I'm assuming you're going to come next year because you had such a great time this year.
I don't think I'm going to do a whole lot of anything different next year, except I might wait and not do as many pre-con purchases as I did because I already went to the con ready to pick up 10 pieces or 12 pieces that I had already picked up from everybody here, from Jeff for sure, Rob. I got a Universe X page as well, and James here in the back room who helped me get a group page by Sergio. Matt DiTullio helped me get an Alex Ross as well as a couple of Simone Di Meo pieces. So much stuff that I had picked up ahead of time thinking, I'll just go ahead, pick up art and be done. I could just spend my weekend just chatting with people and not worrying about buying stuff. And that was a big mistake.
Best laid plans.
Yeah, but I tell people all the time when they ask me about Adam's art, he doesn't sell. I get a bunch because we're having a few drinks and I give him a crazy offer and he takes it. And, speaking to Alberto, I said to him, listen, he doesn't sell. He had asked me about the cover before. But, Adam was just that Saturday, we were talking and I approached him one more time. Hey, look, man, this guy's a good guy. He's not a reseller. He loves Captain America. And that cover is freaking gorgeous. One of the nicest ones out there. And he goes, all right, Robert, just freaking sell it to him. And I'm like, all right, he's coming to pay you. So, when you get a chance like that, you just got to do it. Dude, that cover is so freaking nice with Red Skull and Captain America. And it's huge. When you frame that and you put it on your wall, you're gonna be like, damn, I got to steal. That was a hell of a buy. Beautiful piece.
Rob knows he has like 5 of them.
Casper has been looking for excuses to not ship it to me. He's been like, I'm sick. I cannot find the proper way to package it and all that stuff. Just to enjoy it.
Well, at least he's not rolling it. Yeah.
I wasn't supposed to tell you, but I was hanging out with Casper the other day. We were having a couple of shots, and it's hanging on his wall.
Yeah. So I think we all are pretty much saying it was there was plenty of art to spend money on.
Yes.
And everybody was spending money left and right on finding art. So a lot of the art was fresh, and that's a credit to Casper and Bill telling everybody, please try to bring fresh inventory. I know Will Gabriel, he brought a lot of fresh inventory. I think Berkey, Berkey, I think he had new inventory during the show. That guy just wheels and deals. And so he probably had some new stuff. Anthony, he probably bought several collections at the show. So he has new inventory right there available for sale. I know I bought something that someone else sold him. So, but you are going to spend money here if you're an art collector. I mean, you just can't help yourself. You're a kid in a candy store. There's candy everywhere. Which one are you going to buy? If you're trying to show some restraint, good for you. But there's plenty of art to buy. I went to shop with Jose Marzon Jr.'s table. I didn't even know he was there. He comes there. He has a stack of Why the Last Man pages. Now I don't know if any of you guys read the Why the Last Man. It is a great story, but this guy. He had hundreds of pages. It was amazing, but plenty of art to buy, not just from the dealer, from the artists. They all had portfolios, and from the other collectors. You probably run into collectors just walking down in the hall and just talking to each other and say, "Oh, is that for sale?" And you buy it from the portfolio. So I think everybody. I'd be amazed if anybody goes there and didn't walk out with anything.
Yeah, I didn't mean. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Larry. But the artist list, as amazing as it was, your show will always be successful if you have new material there for people to buy and people can go spend. Because when we buy art, it's just as fun as when we sell art. So that was for me. Anybody I spoke to when sitting at the bar, they all loved the fact that they were getting new, fresh art, and I think that was one of the. I mean, that the artist list was great. But that was one of the best things also, that everybody had a lot of fresh new art for people to buy. And think about, from what I understand, speaking to a few people, everybody did well. And you had what, 500 people there? So I mean, that's, I don't know, that's perfect.
Yeah. I was so naive. I didn't even know people were sketching at the show. Of course, on Sunday they were doing free sketches, but I totally didn't even think about. I saw Felix. I didn't even think any of the artists I had sketch list. I don't know. I was like, I already buy these pre-commissions. I don't even look for sketches, and there's so much art. And I find out Nick Dragota, he did some amazing commissions while at the show. Incredible. So all right, we're gonna go to the polls, and in terms of available art. So, all right. I don't know if anybody does they have the Slido link. All right. I'm giving available art as a 10. I mean, sure, Albert will be there next year, but I mean, it was just an abundance of art.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, the only thing that could be better is if I had more time. I need another day. Put another day in the middle just so I could go through everything.
How great would that be?
The only way would be better if I had more money, not more time.
Well, I mean, I don't need if I once again, I found stuff to spend money on, but if I got, thank God I was working that show. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have a house right now.
I mean, how about an after hours thing of just the dealers and the well, they're all collectors, I guess, but just getting a chance to talk directly with the dealers. The show's not open, and you just go work with them and buy some stuff, or the collectors that had tables, just to spend a little bit more money. Because I would have loved that. I would love to have seen what Jeff had, what the dealers had, what other collectors had. I didn't get a chance to see nothing, and I'm telling you, I would have spent money.
Yeah, and I made it a point. I was not going to go and get anything before the show opened. I really didn't see a lot of that going on. I think people really respected the fact that there were people outside waiting to get stuff. I don't know if a whole lot of transactions from happened that weren't already pre-set up before the show started. I think that people really respected the fact that there were paying people outside who bought tickets to get art, and nobody was trying to get to that art first, which is a problem that you have at normal conventions. I didn't really see that here. And I think that, once the first day was gone, I'm with you, Wolvie. All the gloves are off. If I can dig through stuff, I'm going to start buying.
Yeah.
All right. So let's look at the polls. So pretty much, probably probably one person put probably an 8, but pretty much a vast majority of 10, 9.8. There you go.
Yeah, that's like I said. I would put it almost at a 10. You just can't do much better.
I agree. And there was big pieces and small pieces. There was art for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they did an hour's worth of free sketching on Sunday, so you had free art all the way up to $1 million.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was going on. My daughter, at the end of the weekend, she goes to the gift bags or whatever the hell they're called, and she saw all these sketch cards. She goes, "Damn, Dad, I could have went and gotten sketch cards." I go, "Sorry, sweetie, I had no idea. I had no time to look at it." And she loves those little damn things. Josh Cassara did one for her that she is absolutely in love with. We framed it. Next year, I'll try and plan a little bit better. I'm going to hire Larry to work for me part-time so I can get out on the floor.
All right. Criteria 5, the OAX special events and features. So special events and feature I'm talking about is the auction, the reception, the galleries. So Alberto, I'll start with you this time. You were able to attend the Friday night reception. You even saw some of the auction. What did you like and dislike about either of that?
Honestly, I liked everything. I just wish more people would have been made aware of those things so other people would have enjoyed them. I attend a lot of Bill and Casper shows, so luckily I knew a lot of stuff that was going on, but I think the reception was great. You could talk with a lot of people about anything, and it was not a sales pitch or anything. Nobody was talking about, "Hey, I'm interested in this piece and this piece from you." Everybody was just talking to either artists or dealers about everything and anything during that reception. You got to meet a lot of people for the first time, since that was kind of the opening event. In terms of the features, I loved all the galleries. I did spend about an hour on Saturday going to the back and looking at all those galleries that Adam and Rob had for sure, but also the other side with the card art, some of the other incredible covers that were in that room, the auction pieces in general. I think, yeah, I wish there was more stuff, and I'm sure next year Kazra and Bill will come up with additional events and features. I think it would be great to figure out how to do something more stuff for VIP holders or other special events. I know there have been discussions of, hey, let's go with Adam Kubert to Universal one day, and Bill had tried to figure out if he could get that going. I know Jeff and Ken were doing something to go with Bill Morrison out there and have a Duff beer. So some of those things that can become more official parts of the program and get a little bit more spoken about and marketed, and add a lot of those little things, because I think they would add a lot to the experience. But otherwise, I think it was great.
Okay, great. Jeff, what about you? What did you think about? I mean, you already shared your thoughts about the reception, but anything else that you had to add about either the auction or the gallery rooms?
Well, I mean, I'll even add this about the reception. Is once again, it was an open bar for anybody who didn't attend, and there was open. I mean, so basically it was, you could drink as much as you could. I don't think anybody got plastered. I didn't see anybody falling over, but everybody was very socially drinking and enjoying that. Had a wonderful spread of food. It didn't turn out to be as tasty as they would have thought for a lot of the entrees and stuff. And but that's something that they can always fix for next year. So it's like, besides the quality of the food that they had. And I know that, making the auction a pizza party was a brilliant idea. Once again, we know the pizza was not, I'm just going to say, not the best pizza in the world. And they were out of pepperoni by the time I got there, but it was still a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed, I think the auction itself started off a little slow. I think Nick was kind of starting it off like he did his his experience shows, and then he got into the going once, going twice, and it started going really, really good. I got pulled into it with a wonderful piece that I ended up having to back off at when it reached a certain number. And but I found out that the person that got it was a huge fan and gushed over it, and so I'm glad that it went to a good home if it couldn't go to mine. Really, yeah, maybe. All right, well, I'm a little jealous, but it did go to a good home. But I was able to get another great piece during the auction. So I had a lot of fun. And that was another night that I just had a blast, because I was sitting with a completely different group of people for the auction than I was at the reception. And there are and it was great. And I got to make Chris Snork like almost spit beer out of his nose. And that was funny to make these guys laugh so hard and just have wonderful conversations there while it's going on. And like everybody in our section got a piece at the auction. Like everybody bought something, which was just fantastic. And after the show was over, I got to sit with Amanda and Jimmy and another group of people after the auction was over and talk for like a half an hour. So, like those things, the reception, the auction, the galleries, like I said, I got to go through them. I wish I had more time, but once again, I was working, so I got strapped for time. But like I said, the after hours stuff and the before hours stuff was an amazing time to be able to spend with the collectors and friends and new friends. So I really, really thoroughly enjoyed that.
All right. So Rob, you had your art featured in the gallery. So how did that feel? I mean, did you enjoy how they presented your art?
We're gonna save that for another show. Hopefully, me and Adam can do a show with Akasha and Bill about that. But I will tell you this: I thought the special events and the features were fantastic. For our first show, for their first show, I'll tell you some of the things that maybe for the future to fix. The galleries. I had a lot of people come up to me and say they didn't even know they had a gallery back there. Maybe put the galleries in the front. When you come in, you see them first, and then you go buy art. But I unfortunately, I did go to the auction and I wanted to be part of it, but I didn't get a chance to see any of the. I didn't even know it was out there to be seen. I wish I would have known, because I would have gone through it and made my notes on what I wanted. So those are small little silly things. I'm being picky. A few guys talked about the food, but I mean, come on, Alberto, we love food, but we weren't there for the food, right?
And I'm not the one complaining about the pizza. I got a couple of slices and was perfectly happy with that.
I'm complaining that when I got there was no pizza. Damn it! So those little nuances didn't bother me at all. And again, I thought the special events and the features were great. I would have liked to have probably get more exposure to the galleries. Not for any other reason, but some of the people that came up to me were blown away. I mean, freaking, I had some of the artists come up to me and say, Jeff Shaw came up to me and goes, "Man, that's some great stuff." And I hate to say it, but I don't even know who Jeff Shaw is. He's one of the newer artists, but everybody told me he's a big deal. I was like, wow, I liked it, And Josh Casara that I met through Jason, he loved it also. That's probably the only thing I would say, But I thought the events and the features were great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just to reiterate what Little John said in the chat, yeah, the checkout for the auction was, they did wait till the end to check everybody out, but so if they could do something where you could just kind of sneak in and maybe check out during the auction, that could be about the only thing. But I ended up having some great conversations. I thought I was just going to leave and come and pay the next day because Bill had told me that I was okay to do that, but I ended up staying till the end because I was having a conversation with more people, and so that that 30 minutes after the it was over. It went by fairly fast, and I'm like, well, you know what? I want to go home with my art tonight, so I'll just stay the extra 5 minutes and pay. But that was one of the small little things that once again I didn't even notice because of the great conversation.
Yeah. I'll say this about the food, and yes, I didn't love the food, obviously, just because I'm a hotel elitist. So the food, to me, the highlight was probably the corn dogs and the appetizer. Now, I mean, I thought corn dogs, but by the time I got to the corn, I missed those corn dogs because I couldn't eat the beef, and the mahi was a little overcooked for me, and there was no chocolate cake. I mean, I had cheesecake, I had coconut. I wanted some chocolate cake. Didn't have any chocolate cake, but I have to also understand. You're trying to cater for 300 people. There was a lot of people. There was more than 300. That was 300 just the VIPs. And then you probably add another 100 exhibitors and artists. That is a lot of people. Now, Jeff, you work in the hotel business. It is not easy to cater good food for that many people. You definitely cannot serve medium well steak and well done steak. You cannot have a mix of steaks when you're serving to 500, 400 people.
Right. And once again, yeah, if you're going to have, if you're going to have like something where they have to like slice it off, every person that they bring that has to do more than just drop off food is another person that has to be paid. And and they get an inordinate amount of money for that stuff. So it's just not feasible to have an attendant be there to slice your meat for you and do that kind of stuff, and that's it just doesn't work. And like I said, it was great in theory, and maybe some different food choices for next time could definitely, make it a lot more.
Maybe you could have Jeff Siegel walk around serving hors d'oeuvres. I mean, that would have been great. Yeah.
And Fred Chamberlain says it great. It's an art show. It's not a food show. So, I mean, the food didn't really bother me. I went to the bar later and had a killer chicken sandwich. What the hell do I care?
Icing on the all that stuff was icing on the cake. It really was.
Yeah.
It absolutely was. I mean, this despite whatever you thought about, I mean, I didn't love the food either, but I was able to eat. The Friday night was about socializing.
Yes.
It is, I mean, if anything, we wish the open bar went to like midnight or even after midnight. I mean, we were there. I mean, people were there way after midnight at that Friday show. It was a lot of socializing that made the reception absolutely worth it. It was. They couldn't even not serve food, and I still would have loved Friday night's reception.
Absolutely. So, don't do food, just do the alcohol, and you're gonna have people just as happy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm getting you a piece of chocolate cake next year, though, Larry, just for you.
Thank you. And
I'm bringing White Castle for Jimmy Palmiotti.
Not in Orlando. They have crystals, not White Castle. I wish.
He's going to bring it with him. He's going to pick it up in California and fly it over.
He's going to bring it from Oakland. Yeah.
Bring me 12.
All right. So, all right. Other than that, I will say this about the pizza. Yes, it wasn't great, but I'd rather have an auction with pizza, with bad pizza, even bad pizza, than an auction with no pizza. No matter how bad it was all gone. You guys killed that pizza after like 30 minutes into the show. So I still I mean, it's still great to have the pizza because it's better than having no pizza at an auction, and I think that's still a great idea. Next year, sure, they can find better pizza, but it was still a nice feature to have pizza during the auction itself.
As much as people are complaining, I saw a bunch of people still getting slice of pizza and eating it. So, yeah, they're just trying to be cool, saying it was bad, but a lot of pizza was eaten that night.
And come on, how serious can we take it? Marcus Y is saying he didn't like the pizza. He wasn't even freaking there.
All right, guys.
Listen, bottom line is it's free. People are going to eat it, and it's like I said, it wasn't awful. There's no, like I said, it's still pizza, so it definitely got eaten. I know I had a few slices.
Yeah, and I will say about the gallery, it was so great to see a Bernie Wrightson cover. For that first Swamp Thing, amazing. I mean, there was a lot of amazing art in the trading card side as well too, but Metropolis they brought some 5 killer pieces out to show off in the gallery.
Yeah, incredible.
All right, folks, let's go ahead and go to the polls. So we got 12 people voting so far. So I voted a 9. I guess there's some room for improvement, but I thought all the features and the special events were great.
Yeah, I put an 8, because unlike what Mikkel said about room for improvement at the beginning, I guess there could be a little bit of room for improvement for the special events and features, if there's anything.
All right. Let's go ahead and see the results.
Yeah, there you go. 8. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, listen, once again, 8.5, 8.6. These are great numbers.
It's hard to see. I would say this question here, it's hard to judge when you're really hungry. And I think a lot of the attendees were really hungry and they wanted free food. So
listen, I was waiting to eat. I saved up. I don't usually even eat carbs, and I was waiting for that pizza thing for the whole weekend so I could eat that.
Yeah, I couldn't eat the crust. Like somebody, Casser could probably take some of that piece of crust home and just use that instead of masonite, when he shipped the Cubert. I mean, that was some really tough crust in that pizza.
I think if it was an open bar, a lot more people would have liked the pizza. The rating would have gone way up.
Oh, there would have been a lot more bidding too, right?
All right, so it looks like
went for 5 Gs.
Looks like 8.5, and that's fine. It's not as high as the other categories, but I think even Kasra said next year we're going to see he's going to plan some major improvements for year 2. So 8.5, still a very strong score. It's not a 10. But there's definitely room for improvement. Now, in terms of the auction, I thought people were buying art, and I don't know if they could got more bids, but I thought the auction went fine.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the auctions at like Baltimore and Heroes, sometimes they're really hard to hear, or you can't see the pieces. I thought it was very well done. I thought you could hear very clearly, and I thought that having it displayed on a screen was a very good idea. So it was definitely, I'd put it above the other auctions that I've been at in person. So yeah, definitely agree.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's good or bad, but I know a lot of people were backing off from bidding during the auction just because it will be a friend that is really interested in a piece, and you don't want to necessarily bid the piece up against them. So I saw a lot of that stuff going on. That is like, hey, if Jason was bidding on that corner art thing for the X-Men, I was not going to even attempt to bid him up. Or when Jill wanted that Wonder Woman piece, I was like, it's nice, I would bid on it, but I'm not going to go and potentially just take a piece away from him or run up the price for them. So there was definitely a lot of that as well, which is great about this community, which is let people go for the pieces they want.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go to the next category, which is post-show activity. Jeff, I'll start with you. I mean, when the show closes at night, not just like after Sunday, but on whether it's Friday or whether it's Saturday, what did you think? How did you enjoy yourselves after the show?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. It was, once again, it was all about, spreading yourself out and trying to talk to different people. I mean, definitely Miller's Ale House was the place to go when the show ended. It's where, you know, it was within walking distance. They had a very large menu of food. They had sort of semi-outside seating, and it was such a beautiful, beautiful weather while we were down there. So that was definitely a plus. And that's where we went most nights, I think. And then there was, I mean, like I said, on the last night, I definitely went to the bar downstairs when the football games were going on to hang out down there and watch the end of that, and even lingered after that to hang out with some people, and you know, Jill and Casey were down there, and like I said, Fred and Jose Luis were down there, and so, and you know, like Joseph from Bridge Comic Art was down. Just a plethora of people, you know, to hang out with and talk that I really didn't have a chance to kind of talk to, you know, in extent the whole weekend, because like I said, there was so many groups of people to hang out with and do stuff with. So I definitely thought that the after activities, and then after the show wrapped, it was very nice that Kazra invited a few people up to the penthouse, and he had a little gathering with some people. So I was up there for just a few minutes. I didn't really spend a whole lot of time up there, and it kind of got going after I left, I hear, but it was just very nice to you know, for him to extend that. And him and Bill had a really nice view from their area up top. And it was, you know, it was just, like I said, there was plenty of time to hang out with lots of people. So if you're looking for stuff to do with the people you came with, or once again, like Alberto did, you know, go out and see the town and go do other stuff. That was the great thing about the, you know, the auction ending so early, was it gave you time to go off and do other stuff afterwards, which was great.
Yeah. Alberto, did you have fun when the showroom closed?
I did. I'm a little bit upset at Cosro because I was never told about the big penthouse party that was happening on Saturday until the morning after, and was told all the stories about it. But
he was displaying the Captain America cover there.
That's probably when Adam got drunk enough to agree to sell that piece. So maybe I was happy that took place without me there. But yeah, I mean, I think pre and post show activity, there was definitely something going on, even after the auction ended, before people started going to Miller's Ale House or whatever. People were lingering around, still talking about the lobby of the hotel or the courtyard, showing art, hanging out at the bar. There was a lot of conversations going, and be like, hey, we're going to be going to Miller's Ale House in about 10 minutes, enough for people to go in, drop the stuff in the room, and going on. There was a lot of activities by a lot of different groups going on, that there was definitely something to do. If you wanted to stay within the con, of course, you also could still kind of go on your own. I know a lot of people had family, and they used that time to go to Universal City Walk and have dinner with a family, or go to the parks, or do whatever other activity. And yeah, there was definitely a lot of stuff to do. I'm usually a pretty private person, so by the end of the day, I need a little bit of quiet time as well. And it was nice to do that if you wanted to, and just relax in the stinky, inappropriate rooms that you probably didn't like too much, Larry, but some of us were fine with.
Well, you flew from the West Coast from that day, and you tried to hang out as long as you could that day. So, yeah. You know, Alberto flew from the West Coast, then he went to Universal Studio, and then he went to the Friday reception. That's a long day for you, Alberto.
He made the best of it.
If I'm gonna go there, I might as well enjoy everything that's going on.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't pass out. So, all right, Rob, what about your late night activities?
I mean, I didn't go to Miller's Ale's house. You know, I appreciate everybody inviting me. We got a bunch of those here in South Florida, and they are awesome. The food is great. The beer pours, you know, great taps. I mean, it's fantastic. I had a good time just chilling at the goddamn bar, man. It was fun. They had good food there. You know, there was a select few of people that there. We chatted. I was fortunate enough to get invited to go upstairs into the penthouse and have a few more drinks while I was talking with Nick. I guess they dragged me along because I was hanging out with Mr. Special, Nick Barucci. I don't know if they would have invited me by myself, but, you know, it was fun. You know, I had a good time. I would have – there's nothing derogatory you can say. You know, you're seeing all the collectors. I mean, the bar closed at midnight, and one night I was there till 3:30 in the morning, and I get upstairs and my daughter goes, "What the hell are you doing till 3:30? The bar closes at midnight." She even knew, you know, and I don't remember, to be honest with you. But yeah. I thought it was great. It was fun time, just talking shop with a lot of the regular, you know, just our peers talking shop, and everybody was approachable. Nobody was, you know, standoffish. It was great, man. It was definitely a great time, and I could go on for another hour talking about it. It was real fun. It was definitely super cool. I didn't get to talk much with you, Jeff. I wish I did.
Yeah, well, once again, you were at your table, I was at my table, and then after the show, like I said, there's so many different groups. It was hard. There's definitely tons of people that I would have loved to spend more time with. You being
I didn't get the invite to the big boys table. Maybe next year, buddy.
Yeah, I think Friday night, the reception. I was there till like midnight. So even after the open bars closed, I was still there till like midnight, and then I went to Miller's Ale House and had dinner at midnight, or a second dinner with some friends, and hung out and chatted. And then I came back, and then I was with a group with there was a table near the ice cream bar with Nick Barucci, and there was 15 of us. It's 3 a.m, and we just can't stop talking. We still can't stop chatting. It's like during the show, everybody's showing off their art, but after the show, we can put the art away and we just hang out, have fun, enjoy being around other collectors, and share war stories. I mean, Nick Barucci was telling he got 2 grails recently. That was awesome, and he's telling about how he acquired some other pieces and some other stories. It was great. 3 a.m. You're just chatting that, but then you realize, oh, the show opens again. I think it was open at 9 o'clock, so we all need to better get some sleep. But there was a group of us staying late, and it's like we haven't seen each other in like 6 months, and we really needed to socialize with other collectors. So I mean,
there was 2 things that I missed out on that I wish I didn't. Chris and forgive me, his name escapes me. Some other guy went cigar shopping, and I've been smoking cigars since then, since for many years, and I wanted to go with him, and I didn't see the text till too late. So I missed that. And then Kareem Al Rafi, he's on CAF, and he was there, and he invited me to go to a local hookah bar with him. I was like, yeah, I'll go. But I unfortunately missed it because I got caught up with someone else. So there's 2 things that I do miss that I would like to have gone to.
All right. So we'll go ahead go to the polls. And how did you rate the post-show activity? Pretty much, did you have fun after the show doors closed?
Not that, Fred. Not a hooker bar. Not a hooker bar.
You could take Fred to one of those too. Yeah.
That's for the people that want to move OAX to Vegas, maybe.
All right, you got 15 voters.
I wonder how many people we would lose by Saturday morning if we had the show in Vegas. I don't know how many people would survive Friday night or Saturday night.
Well, it's hard. I mean, because another, if you're looking for locations besides Florida, I mean, besides Vegas or maybe New Orleans, there's really not a lot of, places that are going to be, in that time of year that are going to be temperate and be able to hold the amount of people and keep them, make it a destination for people who want to go. So that's why I think Orlando's it's great for the whole family, and it's got lots of stuff to do. So that's why I, think that's a really great place to keep it. But
hey, Alberto, next year, are you going to plan to spend more time at the hotel after the showroom, on Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night? I know you kind of just stay there Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, I think next year I might change it up a little bit and get there Thursday and not just have red eye flight that lands there at 7 a.m. on Friday morning, So, yeah, definitely try to spend more time and not be as exhausted and be able to spend more time at night.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, James, let's go and see the polls. We got 20 people. So pretty much overwhelmingly, more than half the folks said a 10. Some said a 9. Some people gave it 8, 7. Maybe they got tired, but average score is 9.1. Still very strong. So
who gave it a 6?
Maybe someone who just got too tired and just wanted to go to sleep. You guys were all waking everybody up, at night.
Yeah. I will say one thing that I would like to see next year. I would like to see a live dueling dealers is what I want to see. I would love to see a live dueling dealers. That would be something to add.
Like fist fight, or do you actually want to,
just literally in the place where we had the auction, just do a live dueling dealers. I think that would be pretty fun to do.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Marcus gave a 10. All right, so we're going to go on to our last category. And I think this is probably more for the folks who were not able to attend and are watching this show, and the attendee value. So the attendee value, so it's $300 for a VIP pass. And if you did 2 nights at the hotel, I think that's about $350. And if you had another night, it's probably like closer to $500. And then you have flights. Some of you coming from the West Coast, some of you flying from Texas, and you're probably talking about anywhere from $400 to $500. I'm lucky to live in DC, and there's always a flight to Orlando, and I can find it like $50. But other people I know spend hundreds of dollars on that flight, and so we're talking about at least $1,000 going to the show before you even make that first art purchase. So $1,000, and is this worth it? Is this show worth it? I mean, just to go there and just to hang out. But I'm assuming that everybody's going to go there and spend some money. So just the cost. Now, Alberto, I'm going to go to you first because I mean, you had to fly the farthest. You made some plans in terms of investing in the area. And was this show worth all the money that you spent? And you got some great opportunities at the show.
I have to be careful what I say so Casper doesn't raise the prices too much next year. The value was excellent. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. Again, I made a vacation out of it. So the show itself, the tickets and the meals that I spent at the show ended up being the cheapest part of my vacation. I spent that much in 1 hour at Disney World. I feel like by the time you start buying souvenirs and the lightning lanes and the Genie Plus and everything that they end up charging you for ended up being more expensive. But yeah, I thought the value was great. The hotel was affordable, especially compared to what we can find here in California, which is another thing. And yeah, $300 for the VIP I thought was more than reasonable, and I would pay more. I won't say how much more, so Kazra doesn't take this too seriously. But I think it was definitely worthwhile to keep the convention kind of small enough while at the same time being able to keep the quality. But there was absolutely no complaints here. I didn't pay for the hotel because I used points, so I was able to get that for free. But yeah.
Yeah, you saved like $300 off, of the total.
well, not only that, Alberto, but you didn't even go the second day of the show, so you that's saying a lot. That just doing the preview night and the one day of the show was enough for you to want to do this again. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any money left on Sunday anyway, so yeah.
But Roberto, it's a no-brainer for you to spend $1,000 to come back next year.
Absolutely. Yeah, and probably I would spend an extra day before and maybe an extra day after. So turn it into more of a little bit more than a week as opposed to rushing it on Thursday night / Friday morning.
Okay. So Jeff and Rob, I know you both are exhibitors. Jeff, someone came up to you. Is it worth the $1,000 investment to buy the ticket and airfare and hotels and make a trip to OAX?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely is. I think the experience alone, like I said, you take away even the show part of it, and just for the social aspect of it, there's nothing like it in any show. And I've been to most shows in the US, and there's just nothing like it. If you want to have conversations with these wonderful creators, if you want to meet some of your a lot of your peers that you only know maybe through the chat or maybe through Zoom. I think it's a wonderful show to attend. And once again, it's a little closer for me. It's not it's not quite as far as it is for other people. It's only a 3-hour flight. It's not as expensive for me to come. I have the other advantages but like I said, staying in another hotel was actually sort of made me feel like I would almost rather spend the money for the hotel to stay, to be a part of where everything is, so that I only have to go upstairs, and don't have to travel somewhere else to go. But I would definitely say it's definitely worth it, as much or more than doing any other convention. If this is your thing, if you like art and artists, then it's all the same stuff as the con. The only thing is if you like to walk around and look at all the other stuff that a convention has to offer, you don't have that, but that means you don't have to walk through all that mess of stuff to get to what you want. So yeah, definitely it's worth it.
Okay. And Rob, your thoughts if people come up to you say, hey, where do I meet you? Where can I meet you? And where can I buy your stuff? Are you going to tell them come to OAX?
Well, 100%. I mean, it's, again, I compare it to the shows I used to do in the 90s as a comic book store owner. And this is by far the best experience I had. You know, it's a little unfair for me because I'm only driving a couple hours. I'm selling art. So, you know, my biggest cost was when I bought my Mega Cock shirt from Jason D'Ambrosio because it didn't fit him. I mean, that's the only difference I made, you know? So, but we're not on a hobby that is, that's affordable, unfortunately. I mean, you know, if you want to do the traveling and going to meet people, it can get costly. And, you know, I said in one of the shows, and a couple of guys busted my chops that, you know, if you're going to come here, you got to spend a little bit of money because you got to make it worth your while too. I mean, you want to talk to people and meet new people, but you want to buy art while you're here. So I would for sure, I've been to Como and, you know, well, my wife and all romantic and ooh, how nice. But I'm going to tell you that this was a much better experience and I would recommend it to everybody. You know, I know it can get costly when you're flying in, but start saving your pennies and dollars now because it was a tremendous experience. You know, it's a fun time and just to meet. I think our hobby has some of the best people in it. You know, because we all get along, we all talk. I mean, it's just it's a great time. And I for sure, if I get to the point where I'm not selling art, I'm going to go just to go, you know, it was fantastic. I mean, I'd recommend it to everybody, but again, I'm not flying from California or I'm not flying from Hawaii, you know, I'm driving 2 hours. So yeah, so, definitely for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to say when you compare to like something like San Diego or New York, the hotels at both San Diego and New York are really expensive.
Damn,
way more than what you find at OAX. And not even just it's hard to find tickets to either one of those, but you're going to spend at least $300 if you're going to make it out to anyone as an attendee. So $300, you are getting a deal in terms of admission, in terms of the hotel. I mean, these are cheaper than because in New York and San Diego kind of extremes, but even like you compare it to C2E2, this is pretty much a middle of the road in terms of cost. But I will say, $300, I would pay $300 just to get into that VIP Friday night. That's it. You could just tell me $300 gets me that VIP dinner. I would have been fine. I don't care about the food. Get the open bar. I'll drink my $300 and drinks. But I would. You can't replicate that experience anywhere else. You are there. You are meeting other collectors, and you are meeting other artists. It is such a wonderful time. That right there was worth the $300 admission just for me.
Right.
So
all the money that I saved on shipping from all the pieces that I picked up, if Jeff had charged me, let's say $25 for the pieces I got from amateur dueling dealers, the same thing from James, from all the people that I ended up picking up pieces from, there's the $300 right there that I would have spent.
Exactly. You're with your peers, and they're all going to help you ship stuff to you. You know, you don't have to worry about traveling with it. And Dave, he said it pretty good here. He says San Francisco to Orlando is $250 for a round trip ticket. That doesn't sound expensive, you know. So I don't know. I think it's well worth it, even if you don't want to spend money and you just want to hang out with the guys and the girls, because you know everybody's there. Yeah. I think it's well worth it. You know, I think Orlando, I don't travel to there on a plane, but I would think Orlando is one of your easier places to go to and more affordable because they want your ass over there to go spend money at the parks. So I would think anywhere you come from should be affordable, again, within reason to visit, you know?
Listen, I 100% agree. And like I said, I had Derek, who's in the chat or was earlier. He picked up some pieces for Marcus that Marcus got from me. So you have friends that live near you that are willing to do that and pick up pieces. So it adds one more thing. You could, you know, if you're a collector and you maybe have some pieces you want to move, you could almost pay for your whole trip depending on the pieces that you want to move. I've sold a personal piece to Anthony and made enough money to cover my weekend. You know, once again, I didn't pay for hotels. I just paid for flight, but it's still, you know, it paid for my weekend to come to the show. So it wasn't, you know, so there's tons of ways to do this. You don't, like I said, you don't even have to stay if you're traveling East Coast or from the middle of the country, you don't even have to stay all 3 days, and it's still worth doing the VIP for Friday night. And you could almost, if you're not, working like Wolvie and I were, you could almost see a lot of the stuff on the floor on the first day of the show. So you may not even, need to come the next day. And if you don't want to do the go to the amusement park stuff, you could fly back the next day, and it wouldn't, and you'd save a night on a hotel instead of having to stay till Monday. It's up to you how you want to do your trip, but it's definitely worth it, even if you just did it for a little while.
100%, 10 plus.
Yeah. Carl said, if you don't want to, that one grail piece, maybe not go. You'll still see some grails, but it depends. One of them is for you, but you will definitely get some grail pieces.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hold on. I'm a big Bernie Wrightson fan, and just to see that beautiful cover that Vince was showing was worth the trip for me. It was gorgeous. It was amazing. So just seeing other people's art, I've done San Diego, and I would do this 100 times over San Diego. 100.
Well, Rob, I'll just say it. It saves me from another flight to see your entire issue of Wolverine 90. I mean, I wish they put it in order, but those are some nice double page, triple page, quadruple page splashes you got there.
I take that. Let me tell you, you never say anything nice to me of all the time I've known you. So thank you for that. That makes me feel good. So thanks. When my texts go unanswered, I'll think of what you said. Thank you.
And Larry, what are those dates again for next year? Did we already announce those, please?
January.
Yes. Next year it is January 24th to 26th, 2025.
There you go, guys. You want to save money? Book your rooms now, and maybe in a few months.
I tried booking the room already, but it said the hotel was sold out those dates.
Yeah. Wow.
Nah, you can go try again later, and
Yeah, I'm sure it's not sold out. They might not have released it yet, a year ahead of time or whatever. But
look, again, to reiterate, our hobby is not an affordable one, but all of us have a piece or two we can sell to cover our entire freaking trip.
Yeah.
So if you want to get there, you can get there. Goo 1182 or whatever your name is. Sell a couple pieces, man. Get out there and go see Adam.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe Casper and Bill still have to open the room, a block of rooms, but I'm expecting that pretty shortly. But all right, everybody, go ahead and vote. We got 13 people. What was the attendee value? So I guess if you didn't think you were middle of the road in terms of the value for what you're spending to get there, put it at 5. But if you thought it was great value, completely worth the $1,000 or $500 that you spent to get in the door, I mean, put a 10. By Thursday, I'm signing the venue agreement by Thursday, and we'll try and get the room blocks up soon after. All right, thank you, Casra.
Yeah, and like I said, the earlier, you can't book your flight now, but start looking at flights, 4 months out or 5 months out. They're definitely inexpensive flights you can get. Or just put all your purchases on one of those credit cards that gives you miles. Use your miles for your flight. If you could use Alberto used his mile, his points for his hotel room. If you could use miles to get your flight, you could make the whole trip free.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and show the polls. I know we only got 15 people. People probably went to sleep. Looks like majority said a 10. That's 9.7. So 73% of them said it was worth every damn penny. So, yep, I agree with you, Damon. So 69%. All right, so maybe someone moved it from some people said a 9. Okay, that's fine. But this is that was my last category, and pretty much everything was rated over a 9. Let's see, the special events had an 8.5, and location was an 8.6, but that was kind of like that first one. So, but 8.5 seems like the biggest room for improvements. But there's not much that they have to improve, just little things. And I think overall, we all see this as a very successful show. So I'm going to end off the show with James, go ahead and put the word cloud. So if you guys want to go in Slido, put in the word that how you sums up your experience. In the meantime, I will say thanks to my panelists for coming on today. I wanted to do a deep dive into OAX. People had some questions or wanted to know how much about the OAX. I think they come onto this show, they can hear a lot of perspectives and understand, like, from the different criteria, what was so great about this show. So I
Right.
hope everybody, it sounds like everybody agrees with us that this was a great show.
Yeah. And listen, I just want to say that, you know, all of us this is not, we're not here just being yes men. We all gave our honest opinions. There's nobody told us what we had to say on this show. That's why we, some of us said the pizza was fine. Some of us said the pizza was bad. The other, these are all honest opinions. And it's amazing that you're getting people to give these honest opinions about how great this show is, because it was. And I really don't think you're going to find anybody who didn't have a fantastic time at this show. So I just wanted to say.
And in the chat, Rom said it pretty well, is Casper and Bill could definitely make improvements. But if they said that next year was going to be exactly the same as this year, I would still go very happily. And
well said. Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I still don't see the goddamn improvements. So what? The pizza sucked. The food sucked. I didn't go there for that. I can have my complaints that none of you guys went to my freaking gallery because nobody knew about it. But that's a personal thing. But the food, that's no complaint. I don't know. There's just, I don't. Okay, there's always room for improvement, but I don't know. I'm a little bit more optimistic. I thought it was great.
I love this. The one word that describes it the most.
Oranga.
I will say that was a great moment in the auction when there was going back and forth. And Ranga couldn't believe what was going on. He was hiding in the doorway. But it was great to see people fighting over Ranga's art.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was fun. During that moment in the auction, I was actually I had gone to the restroom and I saw Aranga standing in the hallway, not wanting to be there, and with everybody looking at him. And Adam Kubert actually came over as well, and he was standing right next to Aranga, kind of giving him a little bit of a hard time, but also kind of cheering him on as well. So just sitting out there on the hallway with Aranga and Adam and just talking about it and seeing what was going on was such a fun time as well. And I know Aranga couldn't believe what his price went for.
Oh, listen, I couldn't have been happier for the man. It was so incredible. And I jokingly said to him, I was like, hey, Ken and I got together about 4 seconds ago and we're going to raise the price on all your stuff.
Well deserved. If anybody deserves it, he does, man, because he's such a great dude. So well deserved for him.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right, folks, this is it. I hope everybody enjoyed this show.
Thank you, James.
James, thanks for joining. But I will have a collector's conversation next month. I don't know what it is yet, and I'm still choosing my panelists, but hope everybody enjoyed today. And thanks for everybody for participating in the Slido. I probably will try to look and see how I can incorporate something like that the next show. But thanks again to my panelists. Everybody have a great night, and let's prepare for OAX 25. January 24th to 26th.
Hammer down.
Do it.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.